We're making no-bake blueberry protein bars with gluten-free oats, almond butter, and juicy blueberries with a white chocolate drizzle on top. They're full of fiber, healthy fats, and protein for a naturally delicious snack. Hello, my name is Nicole Bonilla, and if you love healthier recipes to our favorite foods, then you are in the right place. Now you're welcome to jot down these ingredients as we go along, or you can click on the link that's in the video description below. And that will take you to the full recipe with all the details, including nutrition facts, ingredients and substitutions, and frequently asked questions. Now to make these protein bars, you could just mix them together in a bowl or use a hand mixer, but I have found that a food processor makes it really easy. Now there are a variety of flours that you can use to make these bars, and I've included those in the recipe card, but I'm gonna use half a cup of oat flour. Now you could grind your own from some old-fashioned or quick oats and then have a real fine flour. And to increase the protein, we're adding half a cup of some vanilla protein powder. And this is my favorite brand because it's naturally sweetened, it's a nut-based, and we love the flavor of it. And I did include a link in the video description if you'd like to check it out. Next, we're gonna add 1/4 cup of fresh blueberries. Now you could use frozen, but you'd want to thaw them first. And to get even more concentrated blueberry flavor, we're gonna add some blueberry jam. Now you could use any store-bought version that you like, but I am very partial to my homemade jam. And I did include my easy recipe in the video description. So we're gonna add 2 tablespoons of some blueberry jam. And this is also gonna act as our sweetener. But we're also going to add 1 tablespoon of maple syrup. And then for more flavor as well as some healthy fats, we're gonna add 1/4 cup of almond butter. You could also use cashew butter if you like. And 2 tablespoons of ground flaxseed, 1 tablespoon of coconut oil, because coconut oil becomes solid when it's cold, so that helps these bars hold together. And a teaspoon of vanilla extract, and 1/4 teaspoon of salt. And then we're just gonna snap in our lid and pulse it and then blend it on high until it's well incorporated. I love the beautiful purple color that we're getting. I'm just gonna go ahead and go through and scrape down the sides once, just to make sure it's all really well incorporated. And another thing we can do is test the consistency of it. You want it to be not too sticky that you could roll it into a ball in your hands. We also want it to be fairly firm. So this is still just a tad sticky. So I'm gonna sprinkle in another tablespoon of oat flour. And I'll put on our lid and blend it again. And if it starts to form kind of a big ball, then you know it's perfect. So we'll go ahead and test it again, roll it into our hand. Yeah, and that's much less sticky. Now is also a really good time to take a little sample, because then you can adjust the sweetness level if you need to. But if it's not quite sweet enough, you can add just a little bit more maple syrup. But I think this is perfect. Yum. Now to form the protein bars, I've just taken my 4x8 bread pan, and then I'm lining it with some parchment paper. And this is gonna make it so much easier for getting them out of the pan. And then I'm just gonna take a nice sturdy spatula, and we'll drop our dough right into the pan. This is where it's really handy having the parchment paper, so you can just kind of hold the pan and the parchment paper together as you're pressing it down in. Now, if you could use more healthy inspiration on a regular basis, I invite you to join my email list. All you have to do is click on the link in the description below, and that is the best way for us to stay connected. Now that these are pressed down nice and even, we want to put this into the freezer for about 30 minutes to an hour. And that's gonna give all the butter and the coconut oil a chance to solidify. And then that will make it way easier to slice these and to drizzle our chocolate on top. Well, here's our protein bars after they had a chance to set. And you can see how easy it is to just lift them right up and out with that parchment paper. Now, of course, you could just enjoy them as is, or we can add a really easy little white chocolate drizzle on top. So I've just taken about 2 tablespoons of some white chocolate chips, and I'm just using white chocolate melting wafers. And then I'm just gonna add 1 teaspoon of coconut oil, and then we're gonna microwave this in 25-second intervals, stirring in between until it is smooth and melted. So after our first 25 seconds, they're starting to melt, but not quite there yet. So I'm just gonna give them a quick stir to move everything around, and then I'll put them back in for another 25 seconds. After our second round, we can see that they're starting to melt. I can tell that it's warm enough, but it just needs to be stirred until smooth. We just want to have a nice drizzly consistency, so if you need to, you can add just a little more coconut oil. I think this is perfect. Now you can decide how large or small you want to cut up your protein bars, but I have found cutting it into 6 makes a really nice serving size. And I really like the aesthetic of having the white chocolate kind of drip down the sides of the bars, so I want to create a little bit of a gap in between them. So I'm just going to quickly spin them all around on my sheet. I'll just take a spoon and we can drizzle our chocolate on top. And you can decide however you want to do this. I'm just gonna go back and forth on a slight diagonal. Now, because these bars are cold, that chocolate is going to set up fairly quickly. So as an option, I like to sprinkle just a tiny bit of some coarse sea salt into the chocolate before it has a chance to set. And it creates a really delicious balance to that sweet chocolate. Well, that chocolate is already starting to set because the bars were cold, which means we can enjoy these right away. I am completely in favor of that. That is so good. As soon as you bite in, it has that perfect protein bar consistency, and then the flavors are so good. You get the blueberry as well as a little bit of the oat, and then it has the perfect amount of sweetness without being overpoweringly sweet. And I love that little touch of salt on top, and I think the white chocolate just makes them extra special, because now you're eating something that's nourishing but feels almost like a dessert. Well, thank you so much for hanging out with me today in my kitchen. I've included a link to the full recipe, and it's in the video description below, and that will take you to my website, gentletummy.com. And I also invite you to like and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and I cannot wait to have you hang out with me again in my kitchen.